Good day and welcome to Lightning EV Talk, Lightning E-Motors podcast on all things commercial electric vehicles. My name is Nick Bettis. I'm the Director of Marketing and Sales Operations here at Lightning E-Motors, and I'm joined today by Colin Wilhelm, our Grants and Policy Manager.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So Lightning EV Talk is a forum where we bring together thought leaders from both within Lightning as well as outside Lightning to talk about things that are important to fleets, whether those be related to technical aspects of electrifying a fleet or the business aspects of electrifying a fleet. A little more information on who we are before we get started. Lightning E-Motors is a manufacturer of electric powertrains and complete vehicles, as well as charging infrastructure for Class 3 through 8 vehicles. We have applications that span a range from passenger vehicles to cargo vehicles, school buses, ambulances, mobile charging stations, a complete gambit of products and services to help to fleets electrify their operations. We are located in Loveland, Colorado. We've got a nearly 250,000 square foot facility here, and we hope you'll visit us at lightningemotors.com. With that, I want to get into our content today, and this will be a podcast as part of our 6-part series on the fleet electrification equation, where we're going to talk about the variables associated with a successful deployment of electric vehicles for fleets. Those variables are selecting the right vehicle, selecting the right charging infrastructure and getting it deployed, the software associated with the vehicles, service and support, funding or financing, and then funding and grants, which is going to be our topic today. Yeah. So with that, I want to get into our content. Colin, let's just start off with a quick overview from you. How do you see the incentive landscape for commercial EVs today?
Well, it's fascinating and it's exciting. I think are the two best adjectives to put it on right now. You hit the nail on the head in terms of funding and incentives. An ICE vehicle, an internal combustion engine, right now, and probably for the next few years, is going to be cheaper to produce than a EV, no matter the size.
Yeah, probably for longer than that.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite phrases is a lithium-ion battery is never going to be cheaper than an aluminum gas tank.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And there's many factors that go into that. And it can be from the small number of production just to the supply chain to a lot of different things. But a big component is the cost of the battery,
right. Yep.
As you said. And so what I'm excited about is that the country as a whole, from the top down and from the bottom up, has really started to embrace the idea that the world needs to change to electric vehicles, not only in the passenger side, but also the fleet side. And they've, this year in 2022, really have taken the bull by the horns and started to dive in and give lots and lots of money. We've flipped that number from being in the millions to now the incentives out there are in the billions. Right. And it's just a fascinating time to do it. And there's some really, really, really strong programs out there that we can get into.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think one of the things that we do hear all the time that the initial cost is higher for an EAV. So what these grants do is they level that playing field, and in some cases dramatically drop that playing field.
Very much so.
Even without grants today, the total cost of ownership of the vehicle with less gas costs, fewer brakes, no belt changes. There's the operating cost of these vehicles is much lower than internal combustion. So the payback on them is pretty quick, even without grants. But when you put the grants on top of it, you're actually making money by going to electric. So it's an exciting time, especially with, like you said, it changing from up to multiple levels of magnitude, orders of magnitude in granted dollars. So
yes.
So there's a lot of funding out there, both the state and the local and federal levels.
Yeah.
Kind of give us an idea of what the key ones out there are and how they're broken up.
Yes. So we'll start top down a little bit. The biggest thing that's going on right now that came out is the Biden administration has dedicated almost their first term to doing stuff to fix the environment and work towards their environmental goals. Part of that was the Infrastructure and Recovery Act and then the Inflation Reduction Act. And we've seen huge, huge numbers come out there. The ones that are very exciting for us and for our customers, I think, out there are the Federal Transportation Administration's Low-No grant program, low or no emission vehicle grant program. I think that's a big one, and that will allow a lot of different transit authorities and also and also different shuttle bus authorities to get on and promote electric vehicles there. Then there's this huge amount of funding that's coming through the EPA. And this is going to affect pretty much, I think, the nation in all areas. There's parts that are coming down for school buses, for public fleets, for port dockage, in just a phenomenal way. So one thing that I think we can focus on today is the school bus initiative that's coming out, the Clean School Bus Initiative. The Biden administration has implemented a goal to get clean school buses around the country by 2030, to almost have the entire country be in clean school buses. And they've put a lot of money into it. And one thing that we're seeing is that these grants that they're getting can be upwards of enough to make almost a school bus free.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they stack with other grants.
They
right?
do. Yep. And so when we look at those are individual grant programs. Then the federal government itself has passed a bill that is the Inflation Reduction Act, which is funding a lot of those programs. But it also has within it a pot of money that allows fleet vehicles over 14,000 pounds,
CPWR, yeah,
to get upwards of or qualify for $40,000 of tax rebate. Mm-hmm. And that is available to any consumer who wants to buy a fleet vehicle or a class 3 through class 8, pretty much, right?
So you think about like a shuttle bus or a class 4 shuttle bus, let's just say, that would qualify for LONA money and the tax credit.
Yep.
You'd be looking at the LONA grant paying for 85% of the vehicle, the total vehicle, not just the powertrain, but the total vehicle. And then a $40,000 tax credit that stacks on top of that. That's where we kind of start to get to our zero cost bus, or even maybe make money on the bus.
And that can come into play, especially when we get into some of the state grants that are coming out there too. This $40,000 IRA money, as we call it, is really phenomenal because if you are a public entity, a non-taxable entity, you can take that money same as cash and get it just given to you.
Right. And there was some gray area in that bill that came out. There's a lot of confusion around, well, how does a non-taxable entity take advantage of a tax credit? Well, you've gotten from your sources at Senator Hickenlooper's office some clarification that is the case. So yeah,
we spoke to Hickenlooper's office regarding that, and also Senator Bennett's office gave us some guidance as well on some different issues in there and cleared up some gray area. The tax-exempt entities will be able to get it same as cash, and then the taxable entities will get a tax rebate, $40,000. And as you mentioned before, it's stackable with other incentives out there. So if you're a school bus provider of school buses and you're a private organization, you can get those tax rebates stacked on top of the EPA money for your school bus. Or if you're a school district and you own your own school buses, then you get it same as cash, which you can then figure out how to flip your budget and put that back into your budget and work it back into your school district.
Great.
Yeah.
So are these only for new buses, or can these work for repowers?
So there is some gray area on that. A lot of the repowers that the school bus initiatives are looking at in particular, they want to make sure that the repowers are quality. So there's going to be some state instituted mandates to make sure that they are high quality repowers, because we don't want to put kids into a non-qualified bus.
Sure.
What we at Lightning will be able to maybe like about that is that our repowers are top of the line.
Right. It's all brand new components and everything. It's just the chassis, which most of these chassis, or a lot of these chassis at least, are rated with 20-year lifespans. So, they have a lot of life after the first powertrain has worn out. So whether they be a new vehicle that we've repowered or an existing one, for the most part, we think that they're valid.
As the information we have today, our whole line will qualify, including school bus repowers. Okay. And we're working with different state agencies to make those rules so that way our vehicles and other vehicles around the country, many of the other EV providers, we want them to qualify as well, because we just want to make this the EV electrification as seamless as possible.
Yeah. And this, we've only talked so far about EPA grants, FTA grants, the IRA, but there's a mind-boggling number of opportunities for funding out there, whether those be local utility or local utilities offering charging rebates, or we didn't even touch on HVIP, or in New York or New Jersey programs. There are all kinds. Where can fleets go to get information about this, frankly, very confusing process of finding and applying for these?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And it's important that they know that they can reach out to consultants around the country. There's a lot of companies that are advertising online, and they're very easy to find and very good to work with, that will help you write grants and apply for all of these things and find out which grants you're eligible for. And it is important because you're not only looking for grants on the vehicle, but also for the charger, the infrastructure that you might need to hook up to the grid, all of those things that you want to take into account, which cost money. And there are rebate programs for there. One of the reasons that I was really excited to join Lightning, and I'm very proud of working with, is that if people reach out to us at Lightning, they'll end up talking to me or one of my coworkers and get that personalized service, and we will help make them and make sure they qualify for the grants that are available in their area on all levels.
Yeah. And that's why we've gone down this path of this fleet electrification equation, is to identify these 6 variables. And then where we are is we want to be able to help our customers in all 6 of those areas. So that's why you're here, is to work with our customers and our partners to make sure if they've got questions or if they need support with grant writing or just identifying where grants are and what's available and how it applies to them and what the restrictions are and all that stuff, we can help with that. And then there are other resources out there, but you work with us and you get the vehicle and you get this as well. So,
and it's important to work with somebody who has that knowledge, and that's what we're learning every day here at Lightning, is all the different programs that are out there and the different requirements. Each program has a little bit of a different requirement, just variables that change from state to state, locality to locality, and what you need and what you're looking for. And we can help tailor those programs and your purchase of what you want, that vehicle, to that program as well, and go back and forth.
Make this as streamlined and simple as possible for people who are interested. So last question, where do you see grants going in the next 12 months?
I really think that we're going to be seeing a mixture of grants and tax rebates coming out from the federal government over the next 12 months. And then a lot of states, you mentioned HVIP, which is a California's fleet program, are going to be adopting programs very similar to that. New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts already have programs out there. Illinois is coming on with one. Texas is coming on with one. And Colorado has one coming out. One that surprised me the most is Michigan. The automotive, the ICE, the ICE Automotive Capital is coming out with an electric fleet vehicle program.
Yeah. Well, if you went to the Detroit Auto Show this year, you know electric vehicles are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. It was a big focus of the auto show this year. So, and part of the problem is this is changing every day.
It is,
and that's why you're here, is to keep track of that. And we've got partners that we work with all the time in industry. Our partner Proterra, they've got a strong rebate group as well, so we coordinate with them. So we always have the most current information, and we can help anybody that's interested.
And one last thing that I would say is I think that as a country, the ball is to take something our CEO said in a previous podcast. The snowball is going downhill now. We've reached that milestone. We've turned that corner. Electric vehicles are here to stay, and they are the future, and we're going that direction.
One last question: what about Canada? What do you know about Canada?
Canada has implemented, at the federal level, they've put in $500 million per year for the next 5 years on their electrification, which compared to the United States number is smaller, but also you have to remember there's 30 million people there.
Less vehicles,
and less vehicles there compared to our 300 million people. Yeah. So it's an equivalent number for what they're doing up there. And then their state or province programs are more robust. So there's a lot of incentive opportunities for our Canadian partners as well. And I think they've streamlined their process. And that one thing that I'm going to be working on the policy side is to try to bring down some of that streamlined process to the states.
I'm sure everybody would appreciate that.
I believe the grant cycle and the rebate cycle will get simpler and easier for our customers and us to use in the future as more people get involved and we produce more vehicles.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. I thank everybody for listening, and we hope you'll visit us at lightningemotors.com. Again, this is just one of a 6-part podcast series. We'll hope you'll check out the rest of these as well. We'll also mention that we did a podcast. Colin and our CEO, Tim Reeser, did a podcast where Tim gave some opinions on where things are going with the IRA, the Recovery Act as well. So you might want to check out that podcast as well. It's available on our website. So thank you for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time on Lightning EV Talk.